Well, looky what we have here. It's not David hosting. It's not Cameron hosting. It's Johnny Crane hosting. Welcome to The Rich Report, bringing you the richest content across entertainment. I am your host, Johnny Crane, today, joined by my great, fabulous co-hosts today, Cameron Richardson and David Church. How are we doing, gentlemen?
It's another day in paradise. It's another day in paradise. I'm going to jump on it right now. Leave, because Cam likes to throw around the boss title to both Johnny and myself. So I'm going to jump on this right now and say, how you doing, everybody? It's good to see y'all.
I'm doing great. It's still in recovery, but I'm chilling right now. Clippers, the journey to the NBA title begins tonight against the Dallas Mavericks, 6 o'clock. I cannot wait. Let's go, Clippers.
What did I tell you? I thought I was hosting. Why are you bringing in the plugs for what we're going to talk about, okay? Look, yes, we are talking NBA today, ladies and gentlemen. NBA playoffs have already begun today. The Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz played earlier. Here are the matchups for you. Lakers versus Trailblazers, Thunder versus Rockets, Clippers versus Mavs, and the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz close out the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Orlando Magic, the Raptors versus the Nets, the 76ers versus the Celtics, and the Pacers versus the Heat. A lot of juicy matchups, gentlemen. Now, my question to you is simple. I'm going to give you two questions. When you look at these 8 matchups and any future matchups, depending on how the bracket plays out, do you see an upset happening anywhere? I want you to give me an upset, and I want you to give me a finals matchup prediction and the winner of said prediction. Go.
So my original upset in the Western Conference probably would have been the Oklahoma City Thunder, but right now it might actually be fair because Russell Westbrook will be out against them with his parent leg injury or whatever it is. So the Rockets and Thunder is going to be an interesting one, but I think now, even so, it was originally the Thunder as my upset, but now I'm going to probably solidify it because of Russell Westbrook being out. Because the Thunder have been playing great basketball. Chris Paul has still a veteran guy who can, dish it out and score whenever he wants to. But the biggest issue is going to be, will they have their full strength of guys? Will they have Steven Adams? Will they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Are they going to get key minutes from their key guys that they need to in order to take this series against a good Rockets team that's going to have some deficits of their own with Westbrook being out? But I have to say, look out for the Trailblazers, because if Damian Lillard is going to keep going on this insane run and the Lakers have not played the best basketball they've played in the bubble, it's going to be a serious issue for LeBron and AD and all those supporting cast members in Los Angeles. So, but for the Trailblazers to actually do something well, they're going to have to get key performances from the supporting cast. Nurkic is going to have to go off. CJ McCollum's going to have to go off. Carmelo is going to have to play some good minutes. It's going to be an uphill battle. So I kind of gave you a twofer on that one, either the Trailblazers or the Thunder. A more solidified upset would probably be the Thunder, but I would say also watch out for Portland in the Western Conference.
For me in the West, every series you could say is up for grabs. Yes, me being the biased guy that I am, me being a fan, I want the Clippers to beat the Mavericks. But, you can't overlook Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. Those guys are mega superstars in the NBA and can turn it on at any given moment. So that's going to be a big fight for the Clippers if they're going to want to advance. Nuggets and Jazz, great game. Great game one. Went to overtime. Donovan Mitchell, nearly 60 points. Jamal Murray goes off in overtime. That's going to be a really fun series. It's going to be a dogfight. They're not the most exciting teams to watch in the league, but they are going to claw and scratch and fight as hard as they can. That series, from what we saw today, that could easily go 7. Rockets and Thunder, it all depends on what James Harden is going to do. Are we going to get the guy that's going to go off, hit 4 or 5 3-pointers in a row, and just send the Rockets to the next round with ease? Or we're going to get the guy from last year who shot like 7 of 34 in a game. He's not going to play any defense. He's just going to take every single shot for Houston, miss a bunch, allow the Thunder to pull away. James Harden has to show that not only am I the best scorer in the league, but I'm also the best clutch player, the best playmaker for this team. If you want to go beyond the same class as the Currys of the world, the LeBrons of the world, you have to show me the leadership that you have, that apparently everybody else thinks you have, for Houston to finally get over that hump, because they have had great teams before and have not realized that full potential. So this is now the time to turn it on. But that Thunder team, those are dogs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been phenomenal since he stepped into the NBA. And I think the Thunder walk out with that series. I just don't think the Rockets have that poise. They don't have the patience to be able to handle a series where they're given a fight. Trailblazers, I do like this team quite a lot. Now, it's all going to come down to, we know Damon's going to get his 50 points a game, but can CJ McCollum provide that same productiveness as well? You also have Carmelo Anthony. Now, he's not the same producer. He's not going to score 28 a game, but give him 15 points a game. That's good enough. And also Zach Collins and Nurkic will have to fight off Anthony Davis. That's the guy. If you can neutralize him, it all comes back to LeBron. And LeBron he can only be one guy. He's either going to be the scorer or he has to be the playmaker. If he has to be both, you're doing it right, and that's what's going to lead Portland to potentially pulling off that incredible upset. I don't have that happening, but I think I think every game is going to be close. There's never going to be a blowout in this series. But my big upset in this comes in the second round. I do have Oklahoma City knocking off the Lakers in the semifinals and them taking on the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. So, yeah.
I think we're all pretty much on the Oklahoma City Thunder train here. Look, I've been saying this about the MLB playoffs. I've been saying about the NHL playoffs, and my philosophy is going to stay the same for the NBA playoffs as well. Because of COVID and because of the bubble, there are two different kinds of teams as the postseason gets underway. You have a team that has a lot of roster balance, or you have a team that has a particular roster strength. And what I really like about the Thunder is that they have overall roster balance. They have youth, they have veteranship, they can shoot the three, they can go inside, they can block, they can defend, they can do everything. Versus, say, the Houston Rockets, who have a significant roster strength in the fact that they have someone by the name of James Harden. Now, personally to me, I believe that in the NBA playoffs, even though it's mostly chalk lately, I think if there's going to be any sort of upset possibility, you have to have that roster balance. You have to have that balance to shut down the significant roster strength that is stardom for star players and super teams. And I think the Thunder have the roster to do that, not only against the Rockets, but I agree with Cameron. I also think they can definitely do that against the Lakers as well. If you can make LeBron James do more than one thing, if you can sort of mitigate or at least just minimize, you don't have to shut down Davis, but if you can at least minimize Davis pressing the inside paint, I think you have a legitimate shot, and I think they have the balance to definitely do that. So that's going to be my upset as well. All right, gentlemen, I want you to give me one answer, no explanation at all, on the spot right now. NBA Finals, who are the two teams and who are the winners? Go.
Oh man, not even an explanation, just on the spot. Yikes. I'm gonna go with Lakers and Raptors. That no explanation. Lakers and Raptors. That's it.
I am going Clippers and Raptors. Clippers in 7. Kawhi gets the gold with Toronto the year before, comes back and breaks their hearts the year after. That's just what Kawhi. He conquers.
No explanation. He said no explanation.
Sorry.
Listen to our host.
I was giving
Listen
him
to our
30
host.
seconds. Fine.
Yeah. Settle down there, boss. Okay, I'm going to give you mine. Bucks, Clippers. That's it. That's all. Greek freak. There you go. Moving on. So UFC 252 happened over the weekend, and I know you two were quite invested in watching it. I know Cameron had a few folks over. I know y'all did some polls about who would win. I was not able to watch it, but I know y'all watched it. Y'all are more in depth into it. Y'all are more tuned into it. What did y'all think of it?
I don't like to think about UFC 252 because it just makes me sad, especially the co-main. It's just, okay, all around a great main card. Daniel Pineda, what a fight from Daniel Pineda, because he came into this fight, at least it was over, I believe, 4 to 6 years of him not being in the UFC. This was his first fight back in the UFC for a good amount of time. And he took out a top featherweight prospect in Herbert Burns in the second round with a KO. Like, he proved himself, and he proved himself why he earned that spot to be in a main card, coming back to the UFC. And that was probably my fight of the main card, to be honest with you, other than the main event, of course, which we saw Stipe and Daniel Cormier duke it out. And the biggest thing, if you need to know about this main event card, was eye pokes and more eye pokes, because DC gave Stipe one, Stipe gave DC one, and it was but it still was a fantastic fight. It went the distance. I believe I mentioned it probably will go to the distance, and it did, because in the first fight, Stipe got caught by a right hand by Cormier, and then in the second fight, Stipe was still taking a lot of damage in the first 3 rounds, and then in the fourth round, Stipe came on, found the body shot that was working really well, and was able to drop Cormier. So they both know how to feel each other out at this point. They've had 2 other fights before they were able to feel each other out, and it went the distance. There were good combinations and exchanges on both sides. At one point, I thought Stipe was winning, and then at one point, I thought Daniel Cormier was winning. But then at the end of the day, it was the right decision. Stipe deserved the win, and although Cormier would probably like to finish his final fight with a win, he has nothing to be ashamed of. He will go down as one of the best heavyweights in history and one of the best fighters, MMA fighters in history as well. A great dude, a great mentor, and a great role model for a lot of people. Absolutely incredible guy, and really glad to see him, be able to move on with his professional fighting career and move on to new things that he might want to try out. Now, the co-main, Sean O'Malley. I told y'all before, and y'all probably know it already. I'm on the Sean O'Malley hype train. It does not stop because of this, because Sean O'Malley got hurt. We don't know if it was because of a Vera kick to his leg or because of O'Malley's movements and his feints. O'Malley loves to have a lot of head movement, a lot of body movements, try to fake out his opponent, and he did that just then. And we saw he was limping a little bit. It might have been something with his knee, might have been something with his foot, a leg injury, or whatever. And Marlon Vera was able to get it to the ground, and he was able to finish it there. But Vera, don't act like you actually did something. Seriously. Cheeto, all you did was capitalize on an opponent that was already hurt. Don't act like you knocked him out. Don't act like you did anything special. You did nothing.
Stop.
No,
Stop.
I won't.
Stop.
I won't.
Stop.
No.
I know you're a big fan of the O'Malley train, but
this is unbiased. This is completely unbiased.
There's a video out there that has Marlon Vera before O'Malley shows any signs of injury, the kick, and then O'Malley gets hurt. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of you train for this fight all the time and then someone gets hurt and all of a sudden it doesn't count. If his leg had broken a la a Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman scenario, but even then, Weidman still gets credit for checking the kick. He actually did. I mean, technically, with him checking the kick, it did break Anderson Silva's leg. And so we're going to take that one away from Chris Weidman? Does that win not count anymore? I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of, because this fighter got injured because he hit the other fighter, that means the other fighter, it's illegitimate. No, I don't think that's a fair point, because Marlon Vera, doesn't go to the ground, waits for O'Malley to stand up, then I'm like, okay, he wants to have O'Malley just quit and tap out. Had it gone, but no, he took it on his own hands to finish the fight himself. He didn't let it go to the end of the round where the doctors might have stopped it because he was injured. No, Marlon Vera did the job. He got the finish, and now he continues his rise. He's just as marketable as O'Malley. The guy's a fun fighter,
wrong.
And he talks
You're
a lot of smack.
100% wrong on that.
Why? Because Sean O'Malley walks around like 6'9"? Is that his marketability?
No,
Sean O'Malley's great. Don't get me wrong, but Marlon Vera is just as exciting as O'Malley. So don't even get me started on that.
All Cheeto has done is tweet one good tweet about how sugar is bad for you. That's it. That's all he's done. O'Malley has the media presence and the ability to create followers. Cheeto does not have that. O'Malley knows the game. O'Malley knows the internet game. He knows how to get people on his side and knows how to get people to like him. Why do you think I like him so much? Because he does these things. He's cool. Cheeto is not cool. Cheeto is just a little dude who thinks he did something really good, but he didn't. And we don't even know for sure. I've seen the videos. I've seen the videos of the guys looking at the fight and seeing who actually got hurt and if O'Malley did get hurt by something that Vera did or if it was just a freak accident. And we still don't know. The answer is we don't know yet. So we don't know what actually happened. The only time we're going to know is when O'Malley decides to tell us what he felt and what really happened. And he'll take that in his own time. So, and I will bet my house on it that if O'Malley was not hurt in that situation, Cheeto would not have won the fight. Cheeto was losing the fight before the injury even happened. No, 100%.
They weren't doing much before the injury. The injury happened and it was like, oh, crap. Now we're not going to get what we wanted to see. So the disrespect for Vera's got to go out the window. But, gentlemen, we do have breaking news right now. John Jones was on the phone with the UFC and tweeted out that he is vacating the light heavyweight championship. He says it's been an amazing journey, but that to me comes off as a retirement. But my thing is that I think the next fight for the heavyweight title is Stipe and John Jones and not Francis Ngannou 2.
And John Jones loses because John Jones is a two-faced little boy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
Move on, Crane, step in here.
Yeah, great job moderating that hot debate on that one.
I let y'all talk. What's wrong with that? Hello? I can censor. I can mute y'all too, I can do that.
I've already been muted too many times to count on this freaking thing, so let's not.
Hold on now. How many of them have been by me?
None.
You want to keep it like that?
Yes, please.
All right, let's move on, shall we? MLB. A third of the season is already over. Yes, like that, snap of a finger. Third of the season is already complete. And a lot of storylines, obviously, have already sort of started to happen. A lot of them have started to occur. Expanded playoffs this year. So, gentlemen, I have a team in mind that I want to talk about, but I want to hear a surprise team that has stood out to you so far this season. Whoever wants to go first can go. Y'all can figure that out. Hey, I'm just here to moderate, okay? Y'all can decide who wants to go first. Go.
For me, the biggest
surprise.
Sorry, what?
The D-backs?
No, they haven't been. The biggest surprise is that they're not doing as well they should have. But we got back to 500, and we're doing okay. So my real surprise is the Oakland A's. Oakland has been on an absolute tear this season, and we knew they were good. They got the wild card spot last season, but we didn't know for sure if they were going to be able to make that big leap next to take over for the Astros, where the Astros have basically laid claim to the division for the last, good amount of time. So I would say it's Oakland for sure. Matt Olson is on fire. Matt Chapman has done well, and Marcus Semien is proving his worth as well. They have great pieces there that they can build something. They have good pitching as well. They need to focus on that. And it's been a little surprising that they've done this well. I knew they were good, but I didn't know if they were this good. 16-6. That is a great record to start. And I would say a good surprise would be Miami, but because of COVID, they're in first place, and MLB doesn't know how to handle a pandemic like any other leader in this country. So it's just an absolute mess right now for the Miami Marlins. Even though they played some decent ball, they're not going to be in the position where they should be because of COVID and because of all the postponements of games. So my surprise team is Oakland. A fun team to watch. They get to play the Diamondbacks soon, so I get to see them firsthand, and it's going to be fun. But and I'm not expecting anything to come out of that series except for Oakland just demolishing us at some point, which is going to be sad. But they're a fun team to watch, and I hope they do well for the rest of the season.
Mr. Arizona goes through the NL West, can't even get through the.
Sorry, David, about your Diamondbacks, but y'all ain't going to be the second team in the NL West because that's going to go to the Colorado Rockies. Stacked hitting, but we've been known to this. Oh, Charlie Blackmon just having an absolutely insane season, batting over 400, just going nuts right now. Trevor Story doing great. Let's not forget they have Daniel Murphy, Nolan Arenado, and Matt Kemp is also hitting quite well, even as old as he is. But here's the thing. One thing Colorado's ever been known for is solid pitching, and they have that now with German Marquez and Kyle Freeland. As long as they can stay consistent, the Rockies will own that second spot and will walk into the MLB postseason. Shout out to Colorado Rockies. I never expected them. Yeah, they were good in 2018, but then took an absolute nosedive last year. But this is the team now that can say, hey, we got second in the NL West.
You never hear Colorado and good pitching in the same sentence. So
I'm surprised they are.
Yeah, Kyle Freeland, the supposed ace who got bumped to the minors last year. Wow, real good. And
He's
John
pitching well
Gray,
right now.
another great flamethrower. Ooh, good for you.
Hey, they're pitching
Rockies are
well right now, and that's all that
Charlie
matters.
Blackman's
What
having a
matters
good
is
year,
right
and that's
now.
it. That's it.
Woo.
You know what I hear? You know what I hear, Cameron? You smell that? Smells like saltiness coming from
I don't think you
Mr.
can
Fourth
smell
Place.
salt, though.
Yeah, you can.
What is that?
Anyway, I'm gonna
Can you smell salt? Is that a thing?
talking heat about against a division rival coming from the fan of Mr. going through the NL West, Arizona, Chase Field. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to give you my team. I'm going to stick with the NL West thing here. No, I'm not going to talk about the Orioles. No, I'm not going to talk about the Astros. No, I'm not going to talk about the Cubs. I'm going to talk about the Dodgers. Now, this is a little bit of a cop-out. However, listen to this. The reigning MVP has a sub-700 OPS. Max Muncy, yes, your favorite Max Muncy, Cameron, has a sub-700 OPS. Jock Peterson, who could slug 30 bombs, has a sub-700 OPS. And guess what? The Dodgers still lead the majors in runs scored. Enough said, okay? They have depth, they have money, they have prospect capital, they have a great roster as is. And even when three of their top power guys aren't really hitting well through a third of the season, and they're still scoring more runs than the Oakland Athletics of the world, the Chicago Cubs, the New York Yankees, who are also injured and have issues on their team as well. And they're still scoring all the runs? Are you kidding me? Look, they're a super team already, but oh my gosh, could you imagine that? Can there be a super team that is better than a super team? It's rhetorical.
All I know is that pitching needs to be more consistent because it ain't the hottest right now. They're giving up runs game in, game out. So once they can get that fixed, and Kershaw is just a lost cause in the postseason. So we all know that's not going to change. But Walker Buehler's got to get a little bit better. And Dustin May is surprising right now. So I like him quite a lot.
I've been saying his name forever. Get on the Dustin May hype train, okay? Noah Syndergaard, step aside. Ginger guard time, okay? Dustin May, get on that train. But anyway, the Dodgers. What?
That was disgusting.
It's either going to be it's going to be either a fruitful October for me, or I'm going to be in torturous pain and suffering for October. So,
like usual, like every October?
Yeah.
Speaking of torturous pain, now look, when we look at it from a NASCAR standpoint, let's shift topics here. If we talk about pain and torture, can we talk no further than getting Michigan 2 times a year? Getting Pocono 2 races in a row? Look, here's my question to you. I covered the road race, the Cup road race at not the Glen, not Sonoma, at Daytona, that road course this weekend. And I actually kind of liked it. But my question here is for you. They're already racing Daytona multiple times in a season anyway. Do you potentially add a third race at Daytona, but it would be on the road installment? Would you do that in future seasons, or would you stick with the 3 road courses that are usually run anyway?
It depends on what tracks are available that the Cup Series could add. If you can get a bunch of tracks that, like in Iowa, Mid-Ohio, a Road America, a Road Atlanta that nobody ever talks about, that's very underrated. It all depends on what becomes available. And if it's, we can still add a second date at Michigan, 2 dates at Texas, and 2 dates at Pocono, then I think it opens to where you can add the Daytona road course and replace one of those. Because let's be honest here, we don't want to go to Texas twice. Texas is terrible. We know this. Michigan doesn't need 2. Michigan's boring. Pocono doesn't need 2 either. Those races only need 1, and I'd bulldoze Texas Motor Speedway before any of those. But Daytona road course, to me, I just wish there would be a time where Goodyear, whether it's years down the road, they get the data and technology to make a tire that will not suffer with heavy load. Because when you go down that front stretch and then diving into that very long, windy turn 1 that you have to be on the brake quite early, this is why they couldn't use the low downforce package, because they would have carried too much speed going into the turn, and the load would have just killed the front tires early, and you have blown tires galore everywhere, similar to the Brickyard. So hopefully down the road, Goodyear can create a road course tire that doesn't suffer as much and can carry some of that load for quite a while. We love tire wear, but we don't love load cutting tires and practically ruining them 3 laps in, which is why you didn't see as much of the excitement that you would have, because drivers had to play it so safe with it being their first time on the Daytona road course. But it was a road course, and the finish wasn't that bad. But, oh my, Kyle Busch, a guy who has run on this road course before, just another disastrous day for the 18 team, but he's still going to be in the playoffs. So really, once we get past Daytona, not this weekend, but the following weekend, I think that's where Kyle Busch can finally just say, clean slate, playoffs, it's a brand new season.
It's become a recurring theme on how the question is going to be, how is Kyle Busch not going to win the race every week now? It's sad at this point. Like, the reigning champ can't even finish a race most weekends. It's a little bit of a mess. But on the idea of the Daytona road course, I actually enjoyed it. I think when a lot of people think about Daytona, you think of, high speeds, a lot of danger, a lot of drafting. But when it comes to the road course, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. So you have to come with that different strategy. All road courses are going to be completely different between speedways, super speedways, and et cetera. But it's still a different dynamic because you're still dealing with the Daytona weather and you're still dealing with the Daytona aspect. So I enjoyed it, and I think it's a little bit of a different pace. I would probably prefer it be in place of going to Michigan twice a year. I think Michigan, if you want to keep it for one race just so they can get their one race in, great. But if you want to put a road course in there, another one, and put it besides, Watkins Glen or whatever other road courses that the Cup Series drives, I think it's a great choice. I think it was a good, fun race, and it brings different dynamics, and it's worth it to give it another shot next year.
Look, I love road courses, okay? And personally, to me, it might not even be possible, might not even be feasible, but there need to be more road courses in the Cup schedule. Whether that means taking out Pocono, whether that means taking out Michigan, whether that means taking out Texas, whether that means taking out all 3, I think you need more road courses. And I think a big aspect of that, that would sort of help the season roll along. If you were to schedule road courses a little more during the summer, during the humid months, they have rain tires. They can race in the rain. Now, they can't do it with lightning, but when you get those high humid months in the dog days of summer, it rains a lot. That means there's going to be a delay at Daytona. There's going to be a delay at Texas. There might even be a delay in Michigan, even though they're not in the South. I think if you put a road race in there in exchange for a Michigan of the world or the Texas of the world, that sort of lets the schedule move a little easier, a little more fluid. There are a lot less postponements, a lot less logistical problems to worry about. And plus, I think that creates an extra dynamic. We know what Formula One is. We know what IndyCar is. But if you were able to take that aspect from those races and add that into, or at least implement it a little more frequently with more road races in the Cup Series, I think that adds fan interest, not only domestically, but potentially internationally as well. So I think whether logistically, whether from a fan perspective, whether from just a pure competing perspective, I think that it opens the possibility of a lot more parity and a lot more advertising and a lot more viewership. And I think that's what NASCAR should really go for.
Yeah,
that is going to.
I was going to just add on before we end this, the absolutely horrendous Spanish Grand Prix on Sunday. Lewis Hamilton dominated as usual. Ferrari was absolute garbage. And yeah, the F1 season sort of just stale out. Max Verstappen still giving some fight, but man, oh man, is F1 just staling out right now. Good. It was a good race at Silverstone 2 weeks ago, but ooh, that Spanish Grand Prix, not good. Not good at all.
That is going to conclude this week's edition of the Rich Report podcast. I was your host, Johnny Crane. David will be hosting on Wednesday. Cameron will be hosting on Friday. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me as always. Cameron, go cheer on the Clippers. David, go cry about the Diamondbacks. It's been nice chatting with y'all. And be sure to tune in this upcoming Wednesday, actually. And be sure to subscribe, like the video. Later, folks.